The journey began with a jaw-dropping, mind-bending, and visually stunning pilot. We met Colonel Broyles, the tough, hard-nosed leader of Fringe Division.
DC has sent me here to make sure we get results. Standard level 4 hazmat suits are required to go in.
A man with a few mysteries of his own that can occasionally crack a smile. Broyles needed a tough, take-no-prisoners investigator, and he found more than he expected with the beautiful and tenacious Olivia Dunham.
Excuse me, if I'm going to do my job effectively, I like my information firsthand. That's not redundancy, that's accountability.
I know exactly who you are. You want in, liaison? Suit up.
Olivia soon knew she needed to recruit more help and flew halfway around the world to find the cocky, cynical, and resourceful Peter Bishop. Peter was the key to unlocking the mad scientist whose work would end up having roots that go more deeply into this story than any of us ever imagined.
Things like mind control, teleportation, astral projection, invisibility, genetic mutation, reanimation.
Whoa, excuse me for a sec. Reanimation? Really? So you're telling me, what? My father was Dr. Frankenstein?
Of course, no mad scientist ever works alone, and Dr. Bishop has one of the smartest, talented, and patient sidekicks ever imagined. What was her name again?
Aspirin! Aspirin!
That is correct, Asterix.
Astrid.
Aphid! Escott, look. Claire, will you please man the cameras in my absence?
Really? Claire? That doesn't even start with an A.
Thank you, Astrid. What?
You just call me by my real name.
Together, this team found themselves trying to solve inexplicable phenomena and grisly crimes that oftentimes led back to the ambiguous Nina Sharp. Nina's mysterious cover can only be trumped by her boss and former lover, William Bell. Olivia soon realized that Walter and William have not only known Olivia since she was a girl, they performed strange and unbelievable experiments on her and others when they were children. These experiments were intended to make them into soldiers specifically prepared for an upcoming war. However, the results often had tragic and unforeseen consequences. But this was not the only secret to be revealed. There was an enemy at hand, one that they were warned about, but didn't realize the nature or the scope of the threat.
They said I'd had a psychiatric break. I told them what I'm telling you, that they are here, collecting data, making observations. That's what's in the briefcase. They've been planning for war. And they've been passing information via courier, right under our noses.
Who are they?
We don't know who they are. But I can tell you what they want. They want to exterminate us. So they are studying us, our culture, our technology, our science, and they plan to use it against us.
Many years earlier, Walter and William had discovered a parallel universe. While it shares many things in common with our universe, some things are quite different. When Peter died in this universe, Walter broke the laws of physics and crossed over to save the other Peter. What he did set off a chain reaction that forever changed both universes. On this side, Walter became overwhelmed by the guilt of what he had done, eventually driving him to madness. Elizabeth, his wife, took her own life. In the other universe, physics were never the same. Plagued by rips in the fabric of the universe, vortexes, and the death of vegetation, they could only patch up their wounds and hope to make it through another day. Through a series of unexpected circumstances, the other Walter, Walternet discovered what happened to his son and began an assault on our universe. Walternet sent over hybrid beings called shapeshifters and infiltrated our universe. He also used them to set up a way for him to cross over to this universe and bring back his son. Peter soon realized that Walternet not only wanted him back, but he wanted to destroy the Blue Universe once and for all. Walternet assembled a special machine for the task. However, Peter used it to see into the future, a time of ultimate destruction, and instead used the machine to bridge both universes. Destruction would be averted, but only if they worked together. However, bridging the universes came at a cost. Peter had unknowingly followed the path the observers had laid for him. Bridging the universes erased him from existence. This meant that Olivia and the others never knew about Peter, at least not that he ever grew to be a man. Their lives were drastically different now, and they had no way of realizing why.
I know what it's like to have a hole in my life. It's been there as long as I can remember.
However, the observers underestimated the power of love. Where they tried to erase Peter from existence, love broke through. Peter, desperate to be reunited with those he loved most, broke through reality and emerged from the depths of the waters that had once claimed his life as a child. But the consequences of this altered timeline were still unsettled. A war was still being waged, this time by a man whose jaded outlook on the world had allowed his own ego, his own agenda, to warp him into a maniacal madman. William Bell was masterminding a plan to use Olivia's Cortexiphan-enhanced abilities to destroy both universes and create his own utopia. The only way to stop him was to separate the two universes and kill his power source. This shocking turn of events was hard for Peter to witness, but hope sprang anew when Olivia's Cortexiphan-saturated brain healed itself and brought her back from death's door. Now, having overthrown William Bell's plan and making peace with the Redverse, all seemed right with the world. The Fringe team could finally take a breath, and the bishops could enjoy time together. But that time was short-lived. A storm was coming, and it was from an enemy they never saw coming that was more powerful than anything they'd ever experienced before. In the year 2015, the group known as the Observers, a group believed to be peaceful, travel en masse from the year 2603 and overtake the Earth in a bloody event known as the Purge. However, not all observers were bad. September helped Walter formulate a plan to overthrow the observers, but Walter and the Fringe team were overtaken. In a last resort effort to escape the invaders, Walter, Olivia, Peter, and Astrid ambered themselves. 20 years later, Etta, Peter and Olivia's daughter, had become a member of the weakened Fringe team. Etta was secretly part of a group called the Resistance, a group dedicated to overthrowing the invaders. Etta and her friends are able to recover the ambered Fringe team and breathe new life into their efforts. For Etta, it also meant an emotional reunion with her long-lost parents. The Observers, led by Captain Windmark, quickly learned of the Fringe team's emergence from Amber and Etta's involvement. Windmark pursued the team, caught up with Etta, and ended her life. The daughter Peter and Olivia had just regained was ripped from them again. The tragedy sent Olivia and Peter down different paths, Olivia into a downward spiral of despair and loneliness, and Peter into a path of revenge. Peter kills an observer, inserts its specialized tech into his brain, and throws caution to the wind. Peter is now able to read futures and possesses other observer powers. Using his new skills, he kills several top-ranking observers and sets his sights on Windmark. Olivia learns of his actions and reaches out to him to pull him back to humanity. Her love persuades him. He removes the tech and embraces his humanity. Meanwhile, Walter stays focused on retrieving all of the pieces needed to put September's plan into motion. They obtain several interesting items, including the Observer child last seen in Season 1. Windmark continues to close in on the team and those assisting them. He learns about Nina Sharp's loyalty to the group and captures her. She tells him that his pursuit of evolution has had the opposite effect. He and the other observers have devolved into emotionless animals. Not wanting Windmark to get any information from her, she takes her own life. The Observer child gives Walter a vision and restores his memories from the former timeline. The boy is important. He is September's son and has an anomaly that gives him more intelligence than the observers and yet maintains emotions. If they can get him to February 20th, 2167, he will show that there is another way and the observers we know will cease to exist. However, what will that mean for the rest of the team? Will it bring liberty? Has this been their fate all along? Will it restore all they have lost? Will they all make it out alive? This is the moment we've waited for. The Fringe series finale is next.